Welcome to another Indie Showcase video here on the channel, highlighting the many devs, submitted games, and demos we check out. If you submit a game for a future stream and video, please get in touch. But we are starting off with the demo for the game Tiny Thor. This is a modern retro style platformer, where kind of our unique mechanic is we have Thor's hammer. And using it, we can send it into all manner of directions, bounce off objects, and of course use it to solve various puzzles, find collectibles, and all that good 90s era platforming mechanics that we've seen before. Now, as the game goes on, you do unlock additional abilities and you will get more platforming tech, including double jump. I believe you can also jump over on walls, fight bosses, and so on. I think the game has a good look to it, really emulates that kind of 16-bit SNES era of platforming. There are, of course, bonus collectibles to find each level, and the game seems to be aiming for, I would say, moderate to maybe moderate difficult platforming. Again, as a demo, we really don't get the full look or a great look into the actual scale and scope of the mechanics. But I would say that if you are a fan of platformers, especially the modern retro variety, then definitely check out Tiny Thor. We now have the demo for Antipole DX, and this is a modern retro platformer that focuses on gravity shifting, which is based off an old NES game, which the name is completely escaping me right now. If anyone can remember it, let me know in the comments down below. Well, where that game was more Contra-like, where one hit kills you, this game has several key differences. You have health, as you can see in the upper left, and your gravity shifting is localized, so you can carry or lift other enemies if they're within your field, and the bar at the top represents the limit of how much you can do in a single, maneuver there. There are collectibles to gather, you have your little pew-pew laser, as you can see right there. And from what I played the demo, this seems like it will be a fairly interesting or a fairly good take on that kind of design. I didn't see anything, again, that would be like 100% original or stand out, but for modern retro games, they don't really have to go that far, that above and beyond. So if you're looking for another modern retro action platformer, I would definitely at least check out the demo and see if you enjoy it or not. We now turn to the demo for The Darkest Tales. This is an Ori-style Metroidvania, where it kind of has the angle of almost being like an American McGee story, if you remember like the tropes around that. But we are trapped in a little girl's nightmare, and we are the reluctant teddy bear who must explore kind of the corrupted fairy tales and of course bring happiness and light back to the place. So the key imagery here, of course, is that everything is a darker or more evil skew compared to traditional fairy tales. In the opening or in this demo, you fight a Little Red Riding Hood, who is now a murderous eater of animals and just wants to kill everything. And I'm sure other fairy tale characters will have a similar evil bents to them as well. So if you're hoping this is going to be, Shrek-like, I think you're playing the wrong game. Now, in terms of the actual tech and play along those lines, again, this feels very much like Ori. You have your ability to move, jump, you'll be able to swing, and do a lot of different aerial tech. The combat itself definitely falls more on the hack and slash variety, and there are of course multiple paths and hidden things to do. Now, from the demo that I played, while the game has a really great aesthetic to it and the art, has a very somber yet very detailed look to it, it still felt more on the later side in terms of its actual Metroidvania gameplay. And if you had to choose between Ori or The Darkest Tales, I think Ori would still win out. But if you are a lover of all things Metroidvania like I am, then I would say this one is at least worth a check or try out the demo/prologue that is available. Now we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back we have 3 more games to look at for our showcase. And if you'd like to check out more of my thoughts on design, then here are my latest offering of books. For entry-level students, we have 20 essential games to study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with free-to-play coming in 2022. For our next game, this is Baby Goat Billy. Please keep in mind the footage you're seeing is taken from their demo, but the game has been released on early access, and what you see may not represent the current version of it. But this is a deck building style game where the twist is that instead of being stuck in a static or a node-based map and focusing on points of interest, you have a fully 3D world. And as you move around, you'll get into random encounters, find items, etc., etc. Now, combat in the game relies much on some of the similar aspects we've seen from other deck builders, where you'll choose from different abilities and you'll have a limited number that you'll be able to pull from. The kind of twist of this is that as you level up, you'll be able to choose different perks, and those perks will impact what cards or what abilities you'll be able to make use of, such as you need to gain evil if you want to do lifesteal on enemies and things like that. And from what we played of the demo, it did have some interesting aspects to it. Now, it did feel a little bit off in terms of balance. Like, it felt like the enemies really got difficult fast, and my cards or my abilities were just not really keeping up with what I was seeing. But that is something that comes with balancing and fine-tuning. And again, I have not played the later versions of this, and I can't comment on how things have improved or changed in that respect. This is one of those games that I don't think is going to change your mind if you do not like deck building style games in general. But I would say if you have an interest in deck builders, then this one is at least worth a check to see if you enjoy it. And I believe the demo is still available now. For our next demo, this is Misc, A Tiny Tale. And I always like it when games do interesting things in terms of size and scale. It's why I really enjoy playing something like Superland. And Misc here feels like a mix between a chibi robo and a traditional 3D platformer. We play this cute little robot here who is trying to go on an adventure in, I believe, their backyard, when, of course, strange things will happen, and we're going to go on a merry little journey, collecting miscellaneous MacGuffins and trying to power ourselves up. So the general structure, as with 3D platformers, is each area has a bunch of MacGuffins to collect. Some are hidden behind puzzles, some require puzzle solving, or a combination thereof. And you'll need to explore and gather enough to unlock kind of the progression gate to move on to the next area, while of course powering yourself up with new abilities, health upgrades, etc., etc. In terms of the platforming tech, it felt pretty good to play. As you can see, you have a double jump right off the bat. You can do like your kind of flutter jump in the air of your helicopter, and I'm sure there's more tech that gets unlocked as you play. Like with a lot of the 3D platformers we've played, Misc here is not really, I guess, thinking outside the robot tin in terms of its mechanics. If you do not like 3D platformers, this game again is not going to change your mind. And while I was hoping for like a little bit more in terms of tech complexity, it did still feel really good to play, and the game does have different ways of moving around, and I'm sure there are ways of doing advanced jumping and getting around obstacles if you master its mechanics. So if you are a fan of 3D platforming, I would definitely check this one out. And for our last game of this video, this is Super Magbot. This was a demo that we played, and this, I guess in a simpler way, could be described as Magnetic Commando. This is a platformer where you do not jump, and instead you magnetize yourself either to red or blue, which will propel you. So obviously opposites attract, the same color will bounce you. So the challenge is maneuvering your way around these levels using the physics and the magnetism to get you through it. And as you can see, it starts off semi-easy, but from when we play this demo, it can get quite complicated, and as with games of this kind, it can become a little tricky to wrap your mind around, okay, am I pressing the red button to repel myself here, or do I want to attract myself? And there are bonus challenges, hidden areas, very advanced levels as well. And this is one of those games that I really did enjoy. I do want to check out the full version of it now that it is out. And I would say that if you are a fan of kind of puzzle platforming, or kind of like this more, deliberate style of platforming, then Super Magbot will be up your alley. If you like more traditional platformers where you have more freedom of movement and control in the air, this one may not really work for you. But definitely a really solid game, and I think a really great execution of this theme. So with that said, we're going to wrap up this showcase now. You'll find links to all the games in the description down below. And again, if you'd like to submit a game for a future stream and video, please reach out. Check out our Discord and Patreon link down below. Do all that liking, subscribing, commenting that the algorithm demands of you. And come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. Until next time, take care.